What are you no longer bound to because of the ancestral work that you've been doing for the previous several years? Those answers are going to start to pour through. There's a couple different time marks to look at. Pluto moving into Capricorn in 2008 can relate to that. Also, Saturn moving into Pisces in March of 2023. We also had the South Node in Scorpio starting in 2021 that shifted over to Libra and Aries in 2023. So if you're looking at those time areas and really asking yourself, what are the contracts that you were bound to ancestrally that you had absolutely zero say in? Could have involved different patterns with marriages and children, cheaters, defeaters, and depleters. All right, any sort of ancestral binding contract that has been repeated in your lineage for generations for seemingly not explicable reasons. Right now, we are in an ancestral change of seasons, and we're about to find out what contracts have we done the work to now be null and void. What contracts have we maybe been trying to avoid, if there are any? But if you've really been doing the work, then probably this season is going to usher you out of an ancestral patterning. Patterning is like such an objective word because those are like actual real life experiences that have impacted people. So just, reverence to that and the stories that have come before you. Also, we're looking at cycles between 167 and 248 years ago with the way that Pluto and Capricorn and then also Neptune and Pisces are set up right now. That's a very long time. And for a lot of us, some of us, majority of us, it might be applicable to you. We don't have all the stories that go all the way back to those time periods for every single person in our lines. So if you're someone who works with the ancestors, gives offerings to the ancestors, has them at the altar in some fashion or form, there's a reaping of the work that you've been doing with those spirits and beings and the people who have come before you. And throughout this eclipse season, really before we get to the new moon on October 2nd, but also before we enter into Libra season, September 22nd, about that, all right? We're ushering ourselves out of the contracts that our ancestors signed us up for that we had to go through, no matter our decisions or the directions that our life took us. Ancestral fates are coming to an end, to a close. For some, this is going to be a friend. For some, this is going to be there's great harms and traumas and terrible things that have happened that you didn't want to go through that are finally over and done. However, this is also a time where the inheritances contracts are coming to a close. So if there are any inheritances that are actually good, subjective, objective, good is, interpret that how you need to. If there were good contracts that you were in that you have not done the work to continue the inheritance of, those contracts will now be null and void also. Because you have shown both Pluto and Capricorn and Saturn, okay, Pluto, Capricorn, Saturn, Scorpio, that ancestral placements that are currently active on a spiritual level in our astrology that have to do with our inheritances on a system level, system being something that we're not able to escape in the ancestral wisdoms. So if you haven't done the work and it's actually something that you have wanted to continue the inheritance of, there's still some time to activate or start, but this is also something that's been brewing for a very long time. So if you need to make peace with the release, it's going to be, like I said, great for some people. It's going to be a friend. For others, there might be some things that end that you might not want to. And it's up to you to really discern between the two of those things. Like, you'll know if you've been doing the work and how you've been doing the work. So if there's something that you need to receive from your ancestral lineage and clarity that you need to receive about yourself and the work that you've been doing, may you be able to receive it in love, truth, and free. Because I know what's been coming through for me. And great goodness, golly gee, I have been bound to some things that really cost me. And I revere that they're no longer going to be here. And that's all I'll share about that. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep doing what you need to do. The astrology up until this point has been really hard. It's been really difficult. And we're starting in this eclipse season to understand why it's been hard. Why has it been difficult? Not only are truths going to be revealed, but the reaping of the rewards of the work that we've been doing is being revealed, and we're actually able to receive that. We're walking into a very intense time of receiving. So if you find yourself leaving, there is a receiving. There's a lot of work that has gone into these contracts being null and void. And this is also something that we can't avoid. That is how Pluto and Capricorn are set up. So really allow yourself to sit and receive. Being forced to go through stuff is, I have a lot of opinions about it, but that is currently the energy that we're under, especially when it comes to spiritual inheritances and the way that our ancestors have set us up in the spiritual hierarchies and the spiritual spaces and the spiritual realms, and what contracts were we bound to in the spirit, because that looks different than in the physical sometimes. What contracts were we bound to in the spirit? Like, what did your mother and father, as an example, sign you up for spiritually? Not just physically, okay, spiritually, in the sense of like sacrifices that you had to go through. Different spiritual, religious experiences or spiritual experiences that have either helped you or harmed you. There's a, discern for yourself what that really looks like, because it's going to be different for every single person. And give yourself the grace and the patience to really wade through this and work through this, because it is a really, really, it's really serious. There's not a way to like sugarcoat this one. Hopefully it's a little bit sweet. If it's sweet or not though, this is a meal, not a treat. So take time to digest it as necessary and needed. And I'm going to go and return to my learnings about this because, like I said, holy gee golly, my goodness. I love you and I'll talk to you soon.